Hello, my name is Letitia. I am a career coach for youth. I am here today to answer some common questions that you should ask a career coach. And here we go. So, the first thing I want to discuss is what is my coaching philosophy? My coaching philosophy is Methodist coaching philosophy. And that basically means that I have a custom plan for each of my participants, and it includes different assessments and coaching modules and so forth that I use for those plans. All right. So, and along with my coaching philosophy, I also have my coaching style. And my coaching style is to use a solutions based coaching style. All right. So, what that means is that when we come together, we're going to focus on the issues or the concerns or the barriers and overcome those barriers. And those barriers could be lack of transportation, changing your availability, or if you have a disability, then we can work around those things. All right. So, some of my strengths as a coach is my experience. I have over 20 years of experience as an administrative professional in the business arena. I've worked in private sector, public sector, state level, federal level, and nonprofit as well. So, I have a lot of experience in all these different aspects of business. I've worked as a administrative support person up to a management analyst, and some of the things that I was responsible for were managing volunteers, teaching others and training others in my skill set, as well as helping out with fundraising and online presence through social media marketing. All right. So some of the other strengths I also bring would include my entrepreneurship endeavors. I've been an entrepreneur since 2015. That include being a virtual administrative support person and now as a career coach. So I bring that element to the table as well for those who are more, mm, how can I say, more prone to be an entrepreneur versus being an employee. All right. So when I work with my clients, what I normally do are virtual sessions. So we will be talking in person or online, depending on where you live. For those who are in my local area, which is Columbus, Ohio, I would like to do in person unless it's just more convenient for the parents to have the students be virtual with me. When it comes to developing my plans for my clients, I always start with a job development plan because that lets me know what type of jobs that they can apply for based on their restrictions. And also, I create a career plan. So that's just basically high level view of what we're doing. So the big picture, meaning like, okay, yes, we're going to apply for jobs in this area, but what is the ultimate goal in your next, 5 to 10 years, depending on where you are in your career. All right. If you are just a student who's looking for just shadowing internship opportunities, then that may just be like what 4 years from throughout high school, or it could be throughout middle school. So it depends on the length of the time frame and then like what you are capable of doing as well. When it comes to billing report with my clients, the very first thing I always do with all my clients is an intake process. So they complete an intake form with their parents because there's certain legal things I need to take care of when it comes to working with youth. So I have to get permission from the parents to access certain information or have communication with certain individuals or share information with certain individuals. So that's the first thing I do as I bill report through the intake form. Not only does it provide me with consent, but it also provides me information about my client and their environment and the support that I have from the parents or guardians. And then from there, it would be the actual sessions when we sit down and we talk about what their aspirations are, what they have done thus far, what they want to do, and some of the things that are going on after school that they can participate in, and possibly getting to know the people who are on their team, if they have a support team, or if they have, relationships with their counselors, like getting to know their counselors as well. So it takes a village to help a child become an adult. So I seek out those individuals as well so I can get to know the student from their perspective, as well as understand what resources the person or the student has available to them. Some ways that I communicate with my clients includes email, video conferences, and in person, depending on where you live. When it comes to my methods of communication, um, like I stated, I use emails. Um, I could do phone calls as well as video conference calls and in person. And some areas of my expertise, like I said, I have 20 years of being an administrative professional, and I have 7 years, going on 8 years, being an entrepreneur. So I bring my business administration skills, my entrepreneurship skills, and also I have a master's degree in education with an emphasis in workforce development and education. So I bring that as well to the table, understanding how to train and develop individuals and understanding the job market and how to help them find jobs or internships or volunteer experiences, right? When it comes to my experiences in industries, I started in the newspaper retail aspect of it. So I was a newspaper girl when I was 15. Then I went into customer service. I worked at a place that no longer exists in Columbus, Ohio, which was called Media Play. It was basically a music store. So it's basically your modern day, um, it, your modern day version of it is Best Buy, so that would be what I could closely associate with Media Play. I went from there to working. Let me see, at the Gap. So I spent a lot of time in retail sales for a while. I was, like I said, working for the newspaper as a newspaper girl. Then I went to working in like an entertainment type of environment where we sold music, records, and electronics and things of that nature. And then I went into clothing retail. Then I went into food, and then I went into finance, so banking industry, where I was doing insurance as well as credit cards. So those were some financing aspects. And then I went into education, where I've been for most of my time, and that would be as a substitute teacher, also working in the app for the state in the federal level. I was also in communications, radio, and television broadcasting, um, as an admin in an office for a Persian national, actually global, um, television and radio broadcasting um, company. It was at a federal level, just a federal government job. So, and then I also worked in nonprofit with a charitable organization. Some of you may know it, the ALS Association. I also worked for multiple churches as well. And let me see, recently, I currently work for the school system. Prior to that, I worked for another nonprofit organization, which is a prestigious Black national organization. And let me see, and that's it so far. So that's it in a nutshell. But as far as on my entrepreneurship side, I've worked in with freelancing companies. Fiverr is one of them, and I have a lot of reviews on there, like over 200. So check that out. Also, I've worked as a contractor with other virtual companies, and I've worked for myself with private clients as well. All right, so my experience, I just explained what that was, or and is, and what is my most common issues that clients come to me with. So, the most common issue is a resume. People are looking for either their first resume, an updated version of their resume, for entry level and mid level jobs. I help with industries such as sales, customer service, administrative support, legal, medical, education, project management. Those are some different job titles in industries. that I've worked in nonprofit as well. So those are some of those. All right. What is let's see, what do I specialize in and focus on? I have a passion for business administration because over 20 years of my experience has been in administrative support, management analyst, project management type of roles. Also, I have a background in education, but when it comes to resumes, I prefer to focus on those who are looking to be in the administrative support roles or business administration in some aspect, whether it's project management, data um, administrator, or some other type of roles within that area. I love nonprofit. That's my sector that I really enjoy working in because it gives me the opportunity to work in a grassroots setting with my um, peers to help people who are in need, and we do it in real time on a daily basis. So we always get to see our customers. We always get to see the impact in real time. So that's something I really enjoy about being a nonprofit, especially grassroots organizations. Let's see what else I have here. What are my approach to goal setting? So when it comes to goal setting, I always use the solution based method. That's my coaching style. So we always look at, okay, what are the obstacles or what do we want to achieve? And then we go from there. We work backwards from there. Um, then let's see here. What methods do you use to help clients achieve their goals? Um, my methods is pretty much goal setting, right? Because we want to make sure I understand what your goals are. We also use career interest assessments to understand what type of careers you are interested in. We do personality type assessments so I can understand your personality type and how that fits with your job interests. And then for those who are clients going into faith based organizations, such as Christian organizations, I would like to also do a spiritual gifts assessment with them so we can understand how your gifts, personality type, and career interests align. Okay, and if there's any misalignment, we'll reassess what that looks like so we can get a better understanding of what that really should be. When it comes to my method of how I help clients achieve their goals, um, we always make sure that everything we do are our goals that are measurable. So SMART goals, something that's specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. All right. When it comes to helping my client prepare for job interviews, how do I help them? Number one, we set aside time. I like to set aside 45 minutes to an hour with my clients. 45 minutes of it is like 30-minute interview, 15 minutes going over the interview and assessing them and critiquing them. And then the last 15 minutes after I get off the virtual call with them or face to face call, first face to face interview preparation, I will type up everything that we discussed as far as like their answers. After I critique them, I kind of massage the answers and then we give that to the client because I want to make sure the client has a copy of what we discussed so that we can use that in the future or they can use it at home when they're looking in the mirror and practicing. And then we'll go over it again and again until they feel comfortable with it. Okay, so we'll do it like, at different times, like a set aside 30 minutes, maybe once a week, and we'll just go over that. Okay. When it comes to negotiating higher salary. So first thing, when it comes to negotiating your salary, you got to make sure that it's adding value, right? That what you're talking about shows them that you are adding value to the company and that you're going to do something that's different than what you're already doing. Okay, so if you're already lowballing yourself and you do a lot of work, unfortunately, you're going to have to do more work to figure out how you can get that done. Or if you can show, hey, I have the skill sets that you've been asking for, and I've been doing this work, plus I've been doing this on the side. I believe I need to be, compensated for that type of work and see how that works out. But negotiation basically starts with you being able to show that you can add additional value to the company than what you're already given. All right, so that's something we have to talk about on a one-on-one basis because it's a topic that is kind of tricky depending on what type of job you're doing and what they're willing to bend on. It may not be a salary increase, it may be something else that they may be flexible on. Okay, how do you help clients handle rejection after a job application? So, first thing we always know is that it could take about 3 months to find a job realistically, because you got to actually put in the application, wait for the application to be reviewed and get a determination. And then from there, if they decide they want to bring you in for an interview, you don't know if there's going to be just one interview, two interviews, a panel interview, individual interview, a group interview. You don't know what it may be. So there may be multiple interviews. And then when you go from there, you got to wait for them to do your background check, do your reference check, and you don't know how long that process may last. And then if there's a holiday in between there, that can make it even longer. So it really depends on what they need from you and how long the process takes. But you can pretty much get an idea of what that's going to be. And sometimes the job description or application process or the interview process. So they'll tell you like, hey, there's multiple steps, but you got to be able to ask the right questions during the interview so that you can get those answers up front so you can know what the expectations are. So I always tell people it can take up to 3 months to find a job. Sometimes it could take longer depending on if you want to, really stick to what you want and you don't want to waver or bend. Okay, some people are flexible and they're willing to take a certain job until they are able to get the next job that they really want. But some people are like, no, I won't bend. There's no stress. I don't have to do it right now. So I'm willing to just wait and take longer to find an ideal job. All right. But at least tell them realistically 3 months. And, in that process, there's rejections along the way. And that's okay because it tells you which jobs are not for you and which jobs are for you. And maybe you may reject the person that's interviewing you because they didn't represent the company well, the job doesn't sound like it's a good fit, or there's some things they left out in the job description or the posting of the job, and now they're just now disclosing that information. You never know. So you may reject them. So it goes both ways. What are your thoughts on the importance of continuing education and professional development? Always, because everything I do is about training and development, right? Because I'm helping people to sharpen their interviewing skills. I'm helping people to sharpen their ability to do certain technical skills, right? Typing, learning how to use different applications like softwares like Microsoft or Google's Suite, like learning all those different skills so they can be more marketable. So personal development, professional development, continuing education is important, especially if you're applying for a certain job that requires it, right? Because that will determine whether or not you'll get the job. Some other things. What is the average length of time it takes for people to achieve their goals? So when it comes to achieving their goals, like I stated, when it comes to the ultimate goal of getting a job, it could take up to 3 months, sometimes longer, depending on how strong you feel about finding that ideal job, right? If you don't want to bend and take a job now and wait until you get a better one, then it could take you like 6 months. Sometimes some people say 9 months, depending on the sense of urgency. If it's not a very urgent situation, then they will wait longer. If it is an urgent situation, it could be shorter than 3 months, depending on what you want to do. Because temp agencies are always taking people, so you can probably get a job like within a week from a temp agency if you need one right now. When it comes to the average, when it comes to the biggest obstacles people face when trying to achieve their goals. So the biggest obstacle would be patience and discipline, right? You got to be self-disciplined because finding a job is a job, right? It takes time. And for me, with my clients, I track it. I have a tracking form that they will have to complete. So that's the self-discipline, right? Of completing the tracking form to make sure that you are aware of all the jobs you apply for. So if somebody calls you back, you're not like, who is this? What is the job again? Or even if you do forget, you can quickly go to that and be like, okay, thank you for calling, X, Y, Z, whatever their name is, and then you can find their name and know what job it was. Oh yes, I applied for that job, and I'm still interested in it. And then the conversation goes on. But if you don't have that stuff right now, you can get lost in the sauce pretty quickly because you forget who you talked to, right, and what job you applied for, and it will probably sound very unprofessional for you to say, I don't know what this job is. What is this? Who are you? Why are you calling me? That will not be good. So you want to be very familiar with the jobs that you apply for by tracking it, and then also tracking not only what jobs you apply for, but the status of it. Right? Are you still in the phase of waiting for them to call you back from an interview, or did they already deny your application? Did they um, still have your app? Do they still have your application on file and it's pending? Because if it is pending and it's been pending for like 2 weeks, it's time to start looking um, at contacting them and following up and so forth. I don't even wait more than a week, honestly. I wait about a week, and then I'll follow up with an email, a phone call, if that's allowed. If they say do not contact us, we'll contact you, then you want to be a stickler for that, right? Because they are looking for you to follow directions, and if you don't, that is a surefire way to get you not qualified for that job, to get you disqualified. Okay. What are the most common mistakes people make when choosing a career? Not really knowing what your availability is, not understanding your restrictions and your conditions, not really being honest with yourself about whether or not you like the job. Some people don't like to work around a lot of people. Some people don't want to work in teams, they want to work independently. Some people don't like jobs that are fast paced because it gives them anxiety, or they just can't keep up with a fast paced job. Some people don't want to work on weekends. Some people don't want to work in the evenings. They rather work late at night, the night shift, or they want to work early in the morning. Some people don't want to work at all. Yeah, I pause on purpose. Just gonna let that marinate. Because you'll do all the work to get them a job and then they don't show up consistently to the job. You only can do what you can do, right? So that's to be honest with yourself. So that's the biggest mistake is when people are not honest with themselves and with others. Um, can you give an example of someone successfully reaching their goal with your help? Yes. So I've had several clients over the years because I worked for myself. I worked for myself, and I also used to work for a employment services agency. So with that being said, I had customers who came in with developmental disabilities, intellectual disabilities, and criminal backgrounds. Um, for a majority of them, I was able to land them full-time jobs within 3 months. Some of them decided to go the temp agency route so they can get one quicker within like 2 to 3 weeks of the online application process and talking to the person who was hiring for different positions. So those are some of my success stories right there off the top. When it comes to resume writing, I've had like 5 situations where um, that I have recorded. Now I've been doing this for a while now, since 2020 consistently. Actually 2017 consistently. So I've had multiple clients, but few of them come back and actually tell me that they got the job. So I've had one who wanted to transition from working in finance field to working in not in the finance field in corporate America to working in a nonprofit arena utilizing that same skills. So they took their whole entire corporate resume, transitioned it to a nonprofit resume, and we use most of their volunteer experience in nonprofit, right? Because they didn't have a lot of paid experience in nonprofit. But the executive summary helped to shape and mold the narrative of how they wanted to transition and why, and their passion and so forth, and their skill sets that they bring to the table from the corporate sector. And they were so amazed by that they gave me triple the amount of money that I actually charged for the service. And they were able to, they felt so confident and so happy about me making their dream tangible, right? To work a nonprofit. So they, like I said, paid me triple the amount. And then also they landed the job in the nonprofit arena. All right. So what should hmm, can you speak to my past clients? Yes. So if you look on my website, there are three testimonials on there right now. But because this is a new website, I have to get like way more testimonials on there. And I have over 200 already in Fiverr. So if you go on Fiverr, you can reach out to the people by clicking on their names and send them a private message that way. So you can look at all of those testimonials on there, click on their names. You can go straight to their private messaging services and send them a message and ask them about my services. Also, the review itself speaks volumes because they had to rate me. I didn't get the chance to sway them. They just do it on their own. And then also my website, the people who are on there, I don't have active leaks yet, to their profiles and so forth. So I would suggest Fiverr. All right. Do you work with your clients in person, by phone, or online? So that's again something I already discussed, but I'll tell you again. I work with them online, phone, and in person. So it varies depending on where you're located. Should someone how should someone go about negotiating their salary and their benefits package? So that's a one-on-one conversation because it depends on where they are in their career. Because if you're early on in your career, you haven't really shown that you have a lot of experience working at the job for that particular manager. So you may have to wait a little bit longer. And your negotiation of your salary and benefits will probably be over time. If you have more experience and more skin in the game, you probably can get that more easily because of your reputation, which precedes you. So you can, negotiate things a little bit more easily. I prefer that you do it before you get the job, so it can work in your favor up front, instead of you having to backpedal and try to justify how the work you're already doing should be paid. You should be paid more for the work that you're already doing. You know what I'm saying? That's just too hard to do, but it's not saying it's not possible, but it's a case by case situation. What do you think is the best way to network and build relationships with potential employers or clients? Shadowing, going to events. Um, the most effective one is having friends that introduce you to people, so that they can do a soft introduction versus you just doing it cold and you don't know the person, right? So having that link, that person that they respect, introduce you, then that gives you credibility automatically, right? They may not know everything about you, but if they respect that person and their character, they will respect you and give you the time of day based on their relationship with your friend or mutual associate. So I would say go to events with people that know people so they can introduce you to them. And then also shadow, volunteer in places if you don't know no one. That's how you build relationships. So that would be two great things: volunteer and um, be introduced by someone who is already familiar with that group or network of people. What do you think is the best way to network and build relationships with potential employers or clients? Already just explained that. What do you think is the best way to market someone or one skill to find a job or clients? So we're talking about two different things, right? Finding a job is more like an employee relationship, employee employer. Finding clients is more the entrepreneurship, right? Business to business or business to customer. So when it comes to finding a job, I would say the best way to market yourself is one, your online presence, making sure you have a LinkedIn profile, right? That's professional with a professional headshot with professional content. Hopefully, you can connect your jobs to the actual company by searching for them when you create your work experience because it looks better. Aesthetically, it looks more pleasing to the eye. But if you can't, you can't. Another thing you want to do is make sure you check your grammar, make sure the formatting looks good, and it's current. All right. So I would say LinkedIn is the very first thing you want to do. Another thing you can do is to make sure, like I say, being in the right places at the right time with the right people. Networking, that's a good way to market yourself, right? You're a walking billboard everywhere you go. So making sure that you present yourself in a professional manner. Appearance makes good. Your appearance, well groomed, well put together, and making sure you're speaking well. You don't want to use your informal register, right? Talking with a lot of slang, slurs, profanity, things of that nature. You don't want to do that. You want to be professional as much as possible when you're in a public eye. All right. So those are all the questions that I have. If you have any more questions for me, feel free to put that in any place in my comment sections on my platforms, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible, as well as you can put it in my private notes. I'll also put links to my website into my Fiverr so you can see my testimonials. And I look forward to meeting you, whether it's through a 30-minute free consultation or if you just go ahead and buy my services because I did a good job here and you're like, hey, she's good with me. All right. So I look forward to talking to you soon. Continue to have a great day. Thank you. Again, my name is Letitia Tish Banks, and I am a career readiness coach for you. Bye bye.